See if they can do it in this series before the lunar break. It is BLG on the blue side, similar to their names or their color sake on their jersey, and OMG on the red. And we see now Pantheon, Renekton, Zwei banned away, the Twisted Fate, the Olaf, and the Kaiser getting taken off the board here. Now for Meteor and BLG, do they prioritize the Udyr?
Oh, they do take the Samira, like we were talking about. Amy has actually played the most Samira out of any player in the LPL so far. He really likes those heavy snowball games where all the resources are coming into the bot side. That's where BLG likes to snowball. Just talking about OMG's bans just a little, they have been taking away the Twisted Fate, which is Zeka's best like roaming champion. And for BLG, the key to banning against OMG is always to ban out Wuming's Zwei. This is his best champion by far. You never want to see him get it. And for OMG right now, like we were talking about, Aki is probably their best player. They do run a lot of compositions that are basically stun bots for Aki to pick up kills early. The Alistar Talia, just like we were mentioning in the pregame, is going to be the first rotation locked in.
Yep, you're going to go for that very, very powerful jungle combination. It's also something that's very good at setting up success for your lanes if you can get the right duo or laning partners with it. Alistar definitely someone we're going to have to look out for in that bottom lane. For Cold has looked exceptional on the champion, and I think Alistar's just been one of those champions right now where if you're not exceptional on him, you're not really a top tier support because he's just so staple for any team's kind of drafting phase. But for BLG, they are going to lean towards that Udyr right now, and it looks like they're going to try and lock in their support as well. So bottom lane and jungle look to be locked in here for BLG.
And we do expect them to go for something that has a lot of crowd control, preferably a knock-up for Samira to follow up on, and Rel will be the selection. This is going to be the debut of a Jwei on this champion, but we have seen a lot of great things come out from her. The Crashdown definitely allows you to follow up on the Samira, extend that stun duration, and BLG already with a very, very strong bottom lane core.
Yeah, and I want to actually just focus a little bit as we see the Aliealie locked in. We can talk about that in a minute, but the Rel, why are we seeing it so much more prevalent in the meta right now? It was a slow burner, but slowly but surely we're seeing all the different leagues around the world start to pick her up a little bit more consistently.
I'll be honest, I think it has a lot to do with people figuring out her combos. When we were first talking about her, when she just came out, her main problem was the Crashdown is a set 1.5 second animation. Like that is your grandma could dodge that, honestly. But people have figured out that during the Crashdown you can actually pop the magnet store, so it becomes a lot easier to chain up all of her crowd control at once, and that has seen her priority just shoot through the roof. She's been doing incredibly well in team fights, and we have seen a lot of players start to understand better how to use your mount up and when to use your crash down. So I think it's just an issue of like the champion toolkit being discovered more thoroughly.
Well, let's see the final bans coming in. It is the Azir Orianna as he locked in the Galio for Wuming. Is going to make him a little bit easier for him to in lane. And then the Vayne for BLG and the Zyas. They're knocking down those S-tier 80 carries that we've seen in the meta so far. Still plenty of options for Eric if he wants to go with the Tristana. Senna, of course, has come back into the meta. There has been, the trinklings of the Jhin as well. So there's plenty of different things they can go should they want to try and just get him something solid.
I do want to see the Senna actually come out. Senna, in terms of solo queue and competitive, has been used as a counter against Samira, just because you can root her when she comes up. You have a range advantage, but they're not actually going to go for the Senna option. They are going to go lock in the Tristana. This is a bit more kill threat, I would say. Given the entire combo, you have a lot of burst damage on the explosive package, and also just the slow coming down. But it also, if you kind of miss that level 2, level 3 sort of all-in phase, it does become a rather slow matchup in the meantime. So not really my favorite thing here. I think they're going to lack a little bit of potential if they don't get an early cheese kill. In the meantime, BLG, they're going to run a Sylas, which is pretty interesting because this is actually a champion that technically could go up to Biubiu as well, but they're going to keep the Sylas in the mid lane, and for the top lane, they're actually just going to blind a Gnar. Not exactly what I love to see. I feel like there's a lot of good counters into the Gnar, especially something like the game plank that we've been seeing. Sheen's incredibly cheap these days, 700 gold. It's 300 gold cheaper than it used to be, and I'm just not a huge fan of this one. So you know, I think we could take a look overall. BLG, they definitely have a great skirmishing core. They have a multitude of hard crowd control coming out from Zeka and Meteor, and also their bot lane and aiming and Jwei. So I do expect them to play more towards the bottom half of the map. They have a really dynamic team composition there. On the other hand, OMG is going for a strong pick composition. This is something that has kill resets on the Tristana, and they have a great first punch coming in with the Camille and Galio combination.
Honestly, I look at the BLG team comp right now, and I just see a team that wants to be all up in your face at all times. Everyone, including the Samira, wants to be right up on top of you. And I look at the side of OMG, they're looking to try and just set up those nice front-to-back team fights with the Tristana and the Taliyah, able to sit behind their back line and kind of do a standard front-to-back. I honestly believe that it's going to be you know, how this game goes is going to be how well either of these bot lanes do, because we've seen how terrifying both a Tristana and a Samira can be when they're able to get ahead.
Samira, we talked about her a lot in terms of the draft phase. Whenever she's selected, she makes the game all about her. It's about how many kills you can get onto her. Can you get that virtuous cycle between damage and healing going with that immortal shield bow? And if she can like stay ahead of the curve, she's basically unstoppable. If she falls behind, she's pretty useless. Just judging on the compositions, I will say that I think it's a little bit more early game focused for BLG. They definitely want to get a little bit more done pre-6. But after that, I do actually favor OMG's skirmishing core. I feel like they can drop down onto this Samira and kill her very, very easily. There's not much that you can do if the Hextech ultimatum comes down and the Galio follows through when you're a Samira. You just don't really have the escape ability to get away from that one. So I think if BLG can get ahead early, they might keep ahead. But if OMG can hold out for a couple of minutes in the early game and come into the mid-game teamfight strong, they definitely have a chance.
We'll see what they're able to do. But ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, we are jumping onto the Rift for game 1 of this best of 3 between BLG and OMG. If we stay on the screen a little bit longer, it might mean there is a slight delay for some reason. No, we should be jumping in now, which is fantastic to see. And I suppose holistically looking at this from either side's team, I love something I didn't really get to talk about, and something that I did want to mention is that when you see the Galio picked up, two things you want to see coming out beside it is, one, does he have a dive buddy to set him up with the ultimate, with the hero's entrance? And two, do you have another avenue of magic damage? And I feel like OMG have ticked both of those boxes with the Camille and with the Taliyah as they look to try and just push Biubiu back away out of his own jungle.
That was a pretty good trade coming in from OMG, forcing Biubiu to take the hop level 1, so that's probably going to force him to miss a couple of CS early. And just taking a look at the warding situation, did OMG actually get this opportunity to drop a deep ward? They do! That's great for them. They are going to spot out where the start is going to be from BLG, so, you know, a solid win for OMG coming out of this level 1.
Yep, solid level 1. They get themselves some deep vision, and this is something that we've seen many times. You'll see the Udyr start on, especially on the blue side, they'll start on the top side of the map, work their way down towards bot, because there is a hell of a lot of advantages you can gain towards this bot side if you can catch the enemy bot lane sleeping. Now, looking at either sides, see now both teams starting on blue. Taliyah going to start off her own one as well, and it's going to be a farm fest pretty much for these two junglers, unless they feel like there's a very definitive opening for either side.
So we are seeing both of these junglers heading towards their lane where they have the best hard CC potential. Oh, but bot lane's already started.
Yeah, bot lane is going to be starting off. This is kind of the power you see. It's actually interesting to see. I wonder who wins the level 2 between a Rel Samira and the Alistair Tristana, because Tristana historically has had just such a powerful level 2 if you can get those rocket jumps and explosive cast or explosive bomb going so early.
Ooh, and Zeka finding a good trade in the mid lane as well. Yeah, I do think that was a pretty decent trade coming out from Jwei. Like, he knew Tristana definitely didn't have the jump level 1, goes in, gets a decent trade-off, but doesn't really get the pot just yet. So, you know, that one's probably going to fizzle out until level 2. And as I was talking about, I think the main thing we're going to have to look at is this jungle pathing, this level 3 or level 4 gank coming in, because, you know, Camille with the hook shot, definitely very easy to land, hard CC. If Biubiu doesn't manage his lane state correctly, if he's too close to terrain, either pushed in or pushed away from his tower, it actually makes that gank incredibly easy, and I think that's what Aki is going to be playing for.
Damn, Zeka just putting in the pain right now onto this Galio, just up large and in charge. As you can see, Aki hovering towards this top side. Like you mentioned, Biubiu just trying his very best. He's aware that he's probably not in the best of situations right now, and is trying to push in that wave with the Boomerang Blade, but it should be pushed in a little bit easier. Wuming now roaming up towards that top side. I feel it's a little too obvious from the side of OMG.
It definitely is, and you can see Biubiu how far he's actually staying away from that, that chunk of terrain close to the river right there, that wall where people always fail flashes. That is a great spot for the hook shot to actually come in. Biubiu understands that. He's willing to lose a couple of minions. He just backs out and makes sure that he doesn't get caught out by Aki. And let's be honest, that was actually a pretty big investment coming in from Aki's side. He fell down 2 camps behind Meteor, and now Meteor is already back on the map with double ruby crystals, while Aki is still cleaning up his Krugs.
Yeah, and this is kind of the power we see with the Udyr. It kind of came in, people felt like they could just kind of figure it out pretty easy. I feel like if you can kite it out, you should be totally fine, but if you're able to get those early jungle advantages and you get those 2-level leads we've seen so often in the jungle, just purely because of the way the jungle works now, it's actually massive for your team. And for Meteor, you can see he's not even focusing on ganking. He went down, cleared out a ward on bot side where they had warded it, which has almost become staple when playing against an Udyr. You have to ward out that tribe rush, and you can see him now roaming up towards the top side, but he has been spotted out, and right away Camille starting to back away.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to get a gank with that one. Aki definitely helping out his top laner with dropping the wards right there. But as we were saying, this is a huge reason why we see so many Udyrs these days, and even Udyr first picks in the LPL. It's just because his clear speed is absolutely insane, and his skirmishing is also really something that a lot of players I don't think expect it to be that strong. Especially when you're in a winning situation, the cooldown for the bear stance is actually very low. I believe it's only 6 seconds. So if you're winning a trade and you keep on chasing, you can get a lot done, like right here.
Right here, but this honk does land. Zeka will almost, yes he will fall down to the ignite of cold. Aki is ticking down. One more auto attack will do it. The bear slaps him down into a gray screen. It's a 1-for-1. First blood did go over to the side of OMG, but sadly for them, it went on to the support.
Yeah, that was pretty sad on the kill distribution, but they do trade the jungler for the mid lane right there. So, all in all, not too bad of a trade coming in here. And that was an interesting move coming out from OMG. They actually just wanted to make sure that their bot lane was going to stay safe. So they, before even heading back into their own lane, they sent Cold into the enemy jungle just to check things out, just to make sure they could keep tabs on the Udyr. But this top lane trade is going very poorly for Aliealie.
Yeah, level 6 there. Biubiu immediately just slamming him into the wall. Makes it very easy for him to push in that wave and push the Camille back. TP down now on that top side, and we'll see now what Biubiu wants to do. If he wants to TP back into lane, he might just walk in, keep that TP for a play around this Drake, which we can see both the supports and junglers hovering around this bot side of the jungle. And with level 6s being pinged very soon for the mid laners, you can see Zeka almost there. Wuming has gotten his hero's entrance. That's where we're starting to think that this is when the games start to twist a little bit. We should see a lot more skirmishes.
And honestly, OMG can only play defensive on this one. They're lacking a teleport coming in from their top laner. We did see Aliealie burn his into lane while Biubiu held on to his own. So even though OMG has a vision advantage here, it's more defensive than you would think. It's just to make sure that BLG don't use his teleport advantage to actually start this one out. And I do have to throw a little bit of criticism to Aliealie. He's a really new player. He's been doing great damage for his team, but his teleports, for me, has been super suspect. We've also seen this from the IG series where he teleported right in front of the Shy. He managed to land in the bot lane, but only with 300 HP. And immediately died afterwards. So that's kind of be a thing with Aliealie. It's just his teleport timings have been a bit of a head scratcher. And right now, all BLG really need to do is, they can kind of just hold on to this side of the map. But interestingly enough, they're actually just going to start this on OMG side, knowing that the blue handoff is coming.
Yep, they saw the Sylas path towards top. It's a pretty well-educated guess that the Udyr from Meteor was up the top side, which gives them free roam and free push into that bot side as well, considering that Aiming and Jwei had backed away to get a reset off. So overall, I think it's a pretty decent setup for them on the side of OMG. They picked themselves a nice objective. Gold is still dead even, and we can see that they're starting to get a couple of trickles of items here. You can see the Sheen up on the top side for Aliealie. You've got Biubiu on that steel plate caps, steel plated boots. I can't ever remember the full name of it. It's just been just Ninja Tabby on my mind forever.
Let's just call it Ninja Tabby.
These are starting. Yeah, let's just call it Ninja Tabby. It's just, you know what, guys? Between us, between everybody in chat, it's Ninja Tabby, you know? It doesn't matter what the new name is. It's Ninja Tabby, and we've decided that. And no one else can take that away from us.
Honestly, it was just the LCK casters complaining for too long that, hey, you know, ninjas getting tanky doesn't make sense. But, you know, some ninjas can be tanky. You know, ninjas are a very diverse group. Even though I've never actually seen a ninja because they're doing their jobs, but I believe some of them can be tanky, you know? Just call it Ninja Tabby.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe so. They win one LCK, or one world title, but LCK is going to have to see if they go for the top side in OMG, force the flash out of Biubiu. He does not get taken down, though. And that is an unfortunate timing there on the last auto attack there. They didn't quite have enough damage from OMG. And what I was going to say was that LCK win one world championship in 3 years, and they think they're gods. It's typical, really.
Yeah, we have so much action.
Typical. I know, we have absolutely so much action. As you can see, Cold now having to back away from that mid lane, as there were 4 people who were willing and able to jump on top of him. But while all that was happening, Eric getting a free-for-all down on this bot side, a lot of free plates, and gold going to him.
I just want to say I absolutely love this macro move coming in from OMG. This is a move that we've been seeing a lot of LPL teams finally adapt to. It's that when the enemy team sends all 5 members into the top lane, the correct answer is not to necessarily hard trade for the bot lane, because a lot of times what happens is that the enemy team can take your top lane tower plus your top laner as well. The correct answer is actually to roam just your support up. Make sure that they can't take the top lane instantly, but in the meantime, take 2 turret platings on the bot side with your AD carry still PvEing in lane. That has been a great development in the macro for the LPL teams. I believe I first saw BilibiliGaming do it with Loken. I love the idea, and I'm glad it's finally spreading out. This is the correct macro move to make. A lot of the times, if you make sure the Herald can't take the entire tower, and you're just trading 2 tower plates plus the 2 extra waves your AD carry is getting, it is so worth for you.
Yeah, and this is the dichotomy of what the Rift Herald is able to do for you. If it's just a straight up trade, then you get an extra 25 gold. It doesn't actually mean that much, and if anything, as you said, the experience you get for losing those waves is absolutely massive. It is the chance, though, and I think that this is the big thing for both sides or for any kind of professional team. The chance to get more is always going to be far more lucrative than just giving it up and playing passively. So we'll see what they're able to do on the side of BLG with that Herald. We actually see the Turbo Chem tank finished up here for Meteor, so he's already got his mythic item ready to go, and you can see just the power farming with that extra little kill, just getting him nice and set up.
So I think we are in that phase of the game where BLG really didn't get this Samira going. In fact, they sent Aiming very early on into the top side, lost her quite a bit of experience in 2 turret platings over to Eric, and now I do favor OMG's sort of wombo combo. I think their wombo combo is incredibly strong. It's very easy to execute, and they do have a lot of members that they can focus out quite easily in Aiming and in Biubiu when he's in a mini Gnar form. So I do want to see OMG be a little bit more aggressive with this combination and try to find people out onto the map.
Well, you can see here the Rift Herald being dropped into the top side. They're going to give over some plates over to Biubiu and Meteor. Of course, Meteor guaranteed to get some of that money as he was the owner of the Rift Herald. In case you didn't know, it's no longer just who's in the vicinity. If you own the Rift Herald, you get half of that gold as well. So 160 each, and actually a little extra 160 there for Biubiu. So he gets himself a kill's worth of gold. So 3 plates feels a little bit more worth it now for the side of BLG.
Yeah, but that's the kind of trade that we've been talking about. Is that if you're only trading turret plates for turret plates, then the guy that actually, the AD carry that stays in lane really wins out on that thing. He gets more experience, he gets more solo gold time, and, you know, they are able to control vision at the bottom side at the same time. So we have been seeing a lot of LPL teams figuring this out. It's just roam your support only and keep your AD carry into the bot lane as a kind of stock answer to what happens if the enemy team is roaming all 5 towards the Herald play.
All right, here we go. The dragon has just spawned, and you can see both teams leaning towards it. The Nara's already coming in from base. If you look at quick look down the line, no flash or TP for Nara, so he has to come down for this. The Camille has got the TP, so we'll have time to reset. Pretty sure she will have enough money to buy her Triforce straight off the bat. This is where the big fight should happen. Big items being picked up by the solar laners as well. You can see Leandri's entrance as we start off straight away. They get the stun down on top of Aki, and that is the jungler dead. 4-man Tom just to delay and jump straight back in with the hero's entrance. They only landed on top of one. They still have the Hextech ultimatum available and will be used straight away, but killed off before he can do anything. BLG find 2 quick kills. They get the dragon and they get the advantage.
Oh, BLG were so damn decisive on that one. They definitely knew that members of OMG could not rotate from their bot lane onto their mid side in time. So they knew they had a 5v3 opportunity. They see it, they go through it. And honestly, Aliealie's teleport was very, very late into that team fight. You know, it takes you like... It takes you 4.5 seconds to actually get down there, and in that time, that's plenty for BLG to just start picking off members.
Feel like, yeah, we mentioned it very, very early on in the cast that Aliealie's, you know, his TPs have been very, very questionable as we have a look at how this fight kind of goes, and it just looks like BLG just find a moment and they go for it. Yeah,
they know that Eric is still rotating to the side. They know that Aliealie, just because he was still previously in the top lane, he's still going to take his teleport channel time to actually get in the fight. They take out Aki, the first thing going into that one. That gives aiming a reset on the E as well, but they might be trying to claw something back here.
They might be trying to go for something. You can see the Weaver's Wall here, but a teleport in from Zeka shores up that little bit of a distance, and that is Aliealie going to be going down as well. They actually flash in with the Shield of Duran, so they trade in 2 for 1. Tower goes down. The Hextech ultimatum that was stolen by Zeka, now used against OMG. Anything that's yours is mine, and they pick up 3 kills for 1. A quick turnaround. OMG a little bit panicky.
That was absolute disaster for OMG, and let's be honest, they kind of went in there one by one. After the fight was turned around, Wuming throws himself into the fire, into the flames, and just trades only 1 back, but that's really not worth it. You know, 3 for 1 trade here, and OMG's bot lane, this is what I didn't like about the Tristana overall. I feel like Tristana is actually a very slow champion. She is more of that 3-item crit build. So she's not going to be able to actually join most of this early action like you want to with this Wombo combo fight. You know, OMG are the ones that first pull the trigger on this one. It gets turned around by Zeka. Aliealie's dead here. There's really no point saving him. You know, don't even go. But instead, we see Wuming actually even burn the flash just to get a support kill. That's never going to be worth it. And it ends up being a 3 for 1 in BLG. They continue to run away with the lead.
Yeah, looking at nearly a 3,000 gold lead, just at the 16-minute mark. They've got themselves 6 kills to 2. They have themselves a Mountain versus a Cloud Drake. And this is honestly, I gotta give props to Biubiu right there. His positioning and his reactions, I suppose, in the last epoch. I have to stop myself straight away as we got that combination of the hero's entrance on top of the Hextech ultimatum. But Biubiu is saved by Rel. Jwei is there to sacrifice himself so that big bounty that's on top of the Nar does not go over. But you committed 4 people to bot side. What are the side of BLG going to be able to take in favor because of the huge commit?
Yeah, the coordination there was still a little bit slow. Very good on Biubiu to recognize what was happening and just jump out in time. But I really wanted to see that actually land a bit faster. Biubiu without flash, if that combo was executed correctly, Biubiu actually shouldn't be able to survive. Biubiu should just like die instantly with the 2 CC stacks and, you know, with the Hextech Rocket Belt and also the Justice Punch coming in. There's no reason for him to actually be able to walk out of that one. But, you know, that's the combo that we wanted to see. I like that OMG's executing it. It's very, very strong. I don't think Samira or Nar should be able to survive this combo. If they can make that pick happen a couple more times, they're actually only 2k behind in the game. So they definitely still have a chance. They have the scaling aspect with a better front to back, like we were mentioning as well. So, you know, you run that play a couple more times, maybe something good will happen.
I feel like it becomes a little bit more difficult as well. Like, Gnar in mini form is a very slippery champion, but Gnar with Stridebreaker is an even slippier champion to try and take a hold of. He becomes deceptively tanky and also deceptively mobile for how much he's able to kind of move around. And yes, they gain a bot lane tower and a kill, but they lose the bot lane tower and the bot lane, the bot lane on the other side. And now they are trying to see if they can set up for this dragon in 1 minute's time. Immortal Shield Bow picked up for Samira. You have the Kraken Slayer for the Tristana. So both AD carries picking themselves up a nice little mythic item before this potentially game-changing fight that's happening in just under 45 seconds.
So right now, BLG are in formation. They're in control of all of the ramps. And what OMG really need to do is they probably need to try and find a member that is separated from the rest of the team. You know, they have a really strong pick composition here. But, you know, BLG, I like this play a lot from them. They position as if they're going to do a fork and head back to the Drake, but then they show up very, very strong in the mid lane. They're still keeping all of their members together, so no pick potential for OMG. And throughout all this, OMG just are looking at themselves and going like, hey, what can we actually do here? It doesn't seem like much they can actually find. They're just constantly getting pushed back by BLG. And this is something I don't think enough LPL teams do, is that you can show force early on just to push the enemy away and force them to waste even more time going through terrain. Like, it's a dance that technically spends, you spend more time setting up, but it makes your dragon takes that much safer.
Yep, we can see there with the complete lack of any vision around this dragon pit inside of OMG, have to give it up. So that is the third Drake of the game going over to BLG, which will be their second of the stack. It is an Ocean Soul they will be trying to get on top of. And the easy, I suppose, when you don't contest those objectives, you are able to get those quick resets in, so you're not really able to gain anything. The waves are in a much better position for BLG. They had to be answered by OMG, and right now, like you said, they are just being pushed back, pegged back into their own side of the jungle because of fear of if they get caught, there's a lot more on the table for the side of BLG to take.
Yeah, and that's the thing we have seen with catch compositions, that they do run out of steam if they're too far behind. If your combination takes too long to kill a champion, and if your combination, you blow all your ultimates and you only get one champion, then that's typically when you see the combo and pick combination, the cannonball combination, as we have coined it in the LPL, start falling off here. I would say that right now, OMG, they really need to find multiple members off of their first salvo. Like, after they get the Samira, they probably have to find some way to get the Gnar as well, or they need to take him out in the side lane and then come back and defend or something like that. It's not going to be a very easy wombo combo team fight to execute in a 5v5 situation anymore. I think it's almost, even though we did talk about like them having the front to back with the Alistar and with Aliealie, it's probably not going to work when you're this far behind.
Yeah, it feels a little bit difficult for them to make anything going. I feel like you're kind of trying to look to push everything into the Camille basket, but this stun lock here from Biubiu forcing the flash from the Camille, and he lands the slow, which means Meteor just runs at the Camille. Oh my god. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news for Aliealie, but I feel like they might be seeing another rotation of top laners soon.
Definitely could be something that happens, you know. This is we talked about this. OMG's huge problem. They're trying out 4 top laners in 5 weeks, and so far none of them had really stuck together. I'm not sure about the I love the Camille matchup that much these days. You know, the funny thing is that even though a lot of LPL top laners will say the Camille is a sort of counter matchup to the Gnar, in terms of win rate, it's actually been doing incredibly poorly. It's actually one of Gnar's best matchups, despite it being a lane counter. It has been Gnar's best matchup in terms of overall game win rate.
Results-based analysis, my friend.
Yes,
that's what we come here to have.
That is results-based. That I definitely take that criticism, but I think there's something behind those results. You know? If it's happening consistently, and if Gnar versus Camille is one of our most played matchups, and it's in favor of the Gnar, I think there is something more behind that rather than just, you know, dumb luck.
Yeah, I feel like when the results start to really, like if it's 1 or 2 results, then you're like, all right, that's results-based analysis. But I feel like when it's, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 different games, and it's like 80 to 20% split Gnar favored, you start to question a little bit of things. And It could be execution, it could be a myriad, it could be the composition of things that you bring into it. It could be a myriad of different things that you have to talk about when bringing that. You know, there's so many different aspects to think about when you're talking about those different things. But for right now in the LPL, Camille does feel like she kind of gets a little bit, you know, ruffle stomped.
Yeah, I think Camille,
by the Gnar.
If you're gonna run a counter matchup into the Gnar, it's true that you have a lot of great crowd control. You have a lot of solo kill potential. But it is a matchup that does require a lot of jungle attention. I think that's been what we've been seeing. And a lot of times the Gnar solo has been able to stand up to the Camille in lane. We've seen a lot of good Gnars actually use the level 3 Mega Gnar sort of all-in trade to get very, very favorable conditions against the Camille. And once Camille kind of hits this power trough where she doesn't really get the Ravenous Hydra online quick enough, then she sort of lacks out on the, you know, raw dueling potential against the Gnar. She really relies on that sustain to kind of keep her split push prowess going.
Yeah, and especially considering we talked about it very early there, earlier in the cast, the Stride Breaker makes your wave clear so much better on the top of the Gnar. It also makes you a lot harder to catch. So you're pushing in, but you can see there, just in that bot side, goes in, uses the boomerang, hits back with the Stride Breaker and goes straight back in. And whoa, double knock up, and there is the magnetic field into the Gnar ult on top of them. They are just about able to save Eric, and now the fight with the TPs can happen. We can see everyone TPing in. It's now a 5v5, a couple of low health bars. Flash burned here by Aki keeps him safe, but 13 seconds into this dragon, we might see these teams go at it again.
I'm so impressed that Eric was actually able to survive through that one. He got hit up by 2 stuns, 1 knock up, and 1 magnetic storm, but he was able to get out of that one. And right now, it's going to be BLG that are actually lacking a lot of ultimates coming into this fight.
But very, very important. Eric does not have any summoners. You can see Zeka playing keep away, but he's very far away from this fight. Exhaust goes down onto aiming, so he's not doing as much damage as he probably wants to. Eric is down. The Hextech ultimatum is a fight on 2 fronts. It's a front to back, but your front line is not as strong as ours, says BLG. And they run right through everybody on OMG. The Shield Duran just slowing down the Bear Man as he runs straight at him. You can see on the minimap, Cold had to TP back from the back end of the fight. Dragon goes down. They're on soul point, and they can turn to Baron.
And that was ingenious coming in from Zeka. He came in at exactly the right angle, and when Camille was rushing forward, Camille was trying to get that wombo combo in onto the backline, onto Samira. Aliealie was charging forward, but the entire team was cut apart by Zeka. He's on the blue side, but he's coming in from the red side jungle. That was pretty smart from him. Great angle going into it. They take Eric off, who had no summoners at the start of that one, and they're able to just snowball this game and blow it completely wide open.
And Aki keeps getting jumped on immediately. The very important thing about that skirmish just before the Dragon skirmish was that Aki blew his flash. Eric blew both of his summoners. You had no, and then you lost the hero's entrance and the Hextech ultimatum. As you can see here, there's no real escape once people get on top of you here for OMG.
Yeah, and just look at this patience from Zeka. He waits until the front line is fully commits on OMG side, and then he jumps in onto the carries, instantly gets Eric tagged down. The front line of OMG dies because they're completely outnumbered. There's no backup, there's no damage anymore, and then Zeka's able to finish off the kills just with that extra mobility coming out of Sylas.
And actually very, very, very important to notice there, Zeka caught out Eric mid-rocket jump, so he was able to completely stop him from disengaging and getting him off the team. It feels like right now, OMG, they haven't really discovered what they needed for this team right now. This feels, again, an identity crisis. They had a team fight. They knew what to do with it, but it doesn't feel like there's any standout performers that can really bring this all together. And now you have a flash on the Camille with the Hextech ultimatum, but I feel like he's just not going to use it. Keep it for the next time. You will die. Aiming picks up his 3rd kill of the game. Kill distribution very nicely set up between all the different carries on the side of BLG, and they're going to keep pushing towards this bot lane. They have the Baron buff. They can keep going. They can take everything here.
OMG, they get 1 tower, and, I think that's... they don't even get the mid lane tower. They have to rush it back and defend against this one. Biubiu actually is going to play 1v2 and keep everyone still here. So the rest of the members for BLG, they can continue going.
Yep, they see Aki goes down, so that is a 1v2 with a 1-for-none trade in favor of BLG. Eric goes down, your damage is gone. Cold will get the 4-man knock-up as Jwei just drop it down. The TP coming in from the Nard, though, from base means that he's going to be bright and healthy to join this fight. Biubiu keeping everybody away. You have the minions, you have the Baron, but for another minute, it's going to be so difficult for OMG to defend this. And you can see BLG, they know how far ahead they are. They know they are just slapping OMG with their wallets, and they are pushing in to take this win.
All hail Biubiu, King of the North, as he continues on his great stretch of games. But wait a minute, OMG are showing some fight. Never mind, Biubiu is going to close this one out.
Is king.
There's no questions right here.
Biubiu is king. He has got the 3-man ultimate, and yes, you may die in vain, but a triple kill for aiming puts BLG game 1 on the map in a very convincing fashion.